This video is about Freyja confronts stuck enemy until magic fails. If this myth excites you, please like the video, share it with friends, and write in the comments how it pulled you into the adventure. In the age when gods walked among mortals, when the realms of Asgard, Midgard, and the shadowy depths of hell intertwine, the air hummed with an unsettling energy. Freyja, the goddess of love and war, stood upon the cliffs of Himmelsgard, her golden hair flowing like sunlit waves. She gazed at the horizon where the blood-red sky foretold impending doom. The world had whispered of a dark enemy rising from the abyss, a creature born of shadow and resentment, the Noxithar, once a minor deity who had fallen into darkness after being rejected by the Pantheon. Long had he nurtured his bitterness, plotting revenge against those who had cast him aside. It was said that with each passing day his power grew, swelling like a storm at sea, gathering strength in the silence of the night. Freyja's heart raced as she felt the pulse of her own powers flicker, an echo of the ancient magic that thrived within her. The time had come for her to confront the darkness. She donned her armor, glimmering with sacred runes that whispered courage into her ear. Her spear, Gungnir, forged in the fires of creation, sparkled with the promise of victory. She would not stand idly as the world she cherished descended into chaos. As she descended the cliffs into the valley of Vanir, the land echoed with tales of bravery and treachery. Warriors gathered, their spirits ignited with determination as Freyja called upon them. Hear me, noble souls, we face a darkness that seeks to consume not just our realms but the very essence of our existence. Among the assembled warriors was Bjorn, a giant of a man with a heart as fierce as his stature. He stepped forward, his voice a thunderclap in the silence. Goddess Freyja, we shall fight beside you. The Noxithar shall know the wrath of the brave. Cheers erupted, but Freyja felt the weight of dread settle atop her heart. She knew the Noxithar was more than a mere foe. He wielded shadows that could twist the strongest of wills. She raised her hand, calm yet insistent. Aye, but this battle demands more than mere strength. We must unite our hearts and minds as one. As twilight descended, they forged an alliance, warriors Asgard and Vanir, gods and mortals alike. They shared stories of victories past, their laughter mingling with the scent of roasting boar, and for a fleeting moment, hope ignited in their hearts. Yet beneath the surface of camaraderie lay a thread of anxiety. Whispers of betrayal flickered among them like shadows in firelight. The night deepened and the moon hung low, shimmering with an eerie glow. Freyja felt the chill ripple through the air. Suddenly, the ground trembled, and a gaping chasm opened beneath their feet. From the depths emerged the Noxithar, robed in shadows, his eyes glowing like smoldering coals. Freyja, he hissed, his voice a caustic blend of malice and longing. You know my pain, you cast me out, and now I shall cast you into oblivion. Freyja stood tall, though fear cold like smoke in her chest. You are not the creature I once knew. You have surrendered to darkness. I will not yield to your despair. Noxithar. With a scream that echoed through the realms, the Noxithar unleashed a wave of shadows that swept across the battlefield, engulfing the warriors like a storm. Do you think your light can pierce my gloom? He taunted. I will drown your hope in darkness. The warriors fought valiantly, striking against the obsidian tendrils that sought to ensnare them, but the shadows were relentless. Time and again, Freyja's spells lit up the night, shimmering like the dawn, yet the Noxithar withstood her efforts, laughing as he absorbed the very essence of her magic, growing stronger with each blow. Amid the chaos, Freyja's heart sank as she watched her warriors falter. Despair washed over their faces like a tide of sorrow. The darkness stifled their courage, turning their resolve to dust. Then a scream pierced the night. One of her brave warriors, Wolfgar, fell to the shadows, his body drawn into the void with a final, agonizing cry. Nah! Freyja shouted, rushing toward where he had fallen, but the shadows clutched at her ankles, dragging her down. With a fierce determination, she thrust Gungnir into the earth, summoning a surge of light that exploded outward, pushing the shadows back for a brief moment. Fight, my warriors, fight for the light. But as the night wore on, the shadows grew bolder, their tendrils snaking through her defenses, wrapping around her heart and squeezing. The Noxithar reveled in her despair, his dark laughter echoing, a mocking melody in the cacophony of battle. You are losing, Freyja, your magic wanes, and soon, your beloved warrior shall fall into my embrace. She gritted her teeth, her heart pounding like a war drum. I will not abandon them. With every ounce of strength she could muster, she concentrated all her remaining power into Gungnir. Sparks of brilliant light danced in the air, illuminating the dark battlefield, a beacon of hope in the midst of despair. But as she unleashed her spell, a dreadful realization washed over her. The magic that had once flowed through her veins began to falter. The ancient runes inscribed on her armor dim, their brilliance fading as the shadows pressed in. "No, not now," she cried, desperation clawing at her throat. The Noxithar seized the moment, his voice a serpent SS. "Your magic is failing, Freyja, you cannot defy fate." He sent forth a surge of shadows that surged like a tidal wave, crashing against her, snuffing the last flickers of her light. In that agonizing instant, Freyja felt the bond connecting her to every warrior, every soul in that moment, rip apart. All her strength vanished, leaving her vulnerable, stripped of divine power, a mere mortal against an ocean of darkness. As shadows encircled her, she shouted to her warriors, "Do not surrender. Fight for your honor and love, for the dawn shall come." With her words echoing in their hearts, the warriors surged forward, inspired by her unwavering spirit. But as they fought valiantly, the shadows grew insatiable, devouring their hope and strength. The night morphed into a dark abyss, filled with cries of desperation and the gnashing of teeth. With her last shred of resilience, Freyja grasped her spear, preparing for a final stand against the encroaching darkness. "I will face you, Noxithar, even without my magic, I will not yield." Yet as she stepped forward, the shadows surged, swallowing her whole. The world spun into chaos, and the last remnants of her power flickered like dying embers. In that moment, she realized that perhaps honor lay not just in victory, but in the very act of standing defiant against despair. Though her magic had failed, her spirit remained unbroken. The night was dark, but Freyja knew that even the darkest shadows could not extinguish the light of hope that resided within every warrior's heart. With a final roar of defiance, she shouted into the void, "This is not the end. I shall rise again. The dawn will break, and with it, our vengeance will be terrible." In the depths of that darkness, a flicker of light ignited a promise of the battles yet to come, a destiny waiting to unfold. The Noxithar may have claimed her magic, but he could never claim her spirit or the spirit of those who fought alongside her. And thus, the stage was set for a battle that would echo through the ages, a saga of love, loss, and the relentless pursuit of hope, where even the mightiest of gods could face the darkest hour. The world trembled as the shadows pulled Freyja into their depths, a void that echoed with the cries of fallen warriors and the bitter laughter of the Noxithar. For a heartbeat, the goddess felt her spirit tethered to the fading light of the battlefield, the warmth of valor and honor slipping through her fingers like grains of sand. "Hold strong," she whispered to the winds of fate. "This is not over." As the shadows enveloped her, time seemed to stretch, and Freyja was thrust into a realm of memories. Visions of past battles flickered around her, brave warriors charging into the fray, her laughter mingling with theirs, the taste of triumph on their lips. But each vision was laced with sorrow. Faces of those she had lost haunted her, their eyes pleading for her to rise, to remember the bond forged in battle. "Freyja," a voice reverberated from the darkness, chilling her with its familiarity. It was the Noxithar, his presence heavy with the weight of his betrayal. "You dare to stand against the tide of fate? You are but a fading echo in a world that craves darkness." "No," Freyja's voice rang out with fierce clarity, like a thunderclap in the stillness of despair. "I am the dawn that will break your night. You may have taken my magic, but my heart beats with the strength of 1,000 souls." With that declaration, a surge of resilience ignited from within her, coursing like wildfire through her veins. In defiance of the choking shadows, she thrummed with the essence of the warriors who fought for love and honor. Summoning every ounce of will, Freyja thrust her arm forward, and the darkness around her writhed at the sudden burst of light. The Noxithar recoiled, his eyes narrowing with frustration as the shadows trembled. "You are stronger than I anticipated, but it changes nothing. Your power is still lost to you." "Power is not just a spell or magic," Freyja declared, her spirit soaring as she recalled her warriors, their courage bolstering her resolve. "It is the unity in our hearts, the love we share, the honor of every life we fight for." As the shadows hissed and recoiled, Freyja felt a connection form beneath the churning chaos. The warriors still standing against the dark tide were teetering on the brink of despair, but in their hearts lay the flickering flame of hope sparked by her words. They could feel her presence, her unwavering defiance igniting a fire within them. "Fight, my brave souls, fight with me!" Freyja cried, her voice breaking through the darkness. The warriors surged with newfound vigor, their weapons clashing against the encroaching shadows. With each swing of a sword and thrust of a spear, the tides of battle began to shift. Bjorn charged forth, his massive frame cleaving through darkness, his bellowing roar a rallying cry that ignited the hearts of those around him. "To glory for Freyja!" Around him, warriors raised their weapons, the din of battle roaring like a tempest. They fought not just for survival, but for the promise of a new dawn for the goddess who had always stood with them. As shadows lunged, they met them with the light of their souls, refusing to yield. The Noxithar's laughter turned to rage as he watched his grasp on the battlefield falter. Fools, you think your defiance can shatter my darkness, and the night that consumes all? In that moment, Freyja's spirit surged, and she felt the essence of every warrior rise within her chorus of strength and resolve. We are more than your shadows, we are the light that pierces even the deepest gloom. With a force that shattered the veil of despair, Freyja pushed through the darkness, her spirit flaring with the brilliance of the dawn. It took form amidst the shadows, creating a radiant sphere that expanded outward, illuminating the battlefield like a supernova. The shadows recoiled, twisting and writhing as the light intensified. Freyja's power surged, no longer just an echo of her past magic, but the embodiment of unity, the collective strength of every soul who had ever fought for love and honor. For Freyja, the warriors cried in unison, their voices merging with hers, creating a symphonic battle hymn that rang through the realms. The Noxathar's expression twisted, his confidence shattering like glass. No, this cannot be. I will not be undone. He lashed out, unleashing torrents of shadow, but Freyja stood at the center of the storm, unyielding. With a cry that resonated through the very fabric of existence, she directed the light, igniting Gungnir, now imbued with the essence of hope and sacrifice. This is our reckoning. You will not take this world from us. In an explosive release of energy, Freyja thrust Gungnir into the earth, and the ground erupted with radiance. A wave of blinding light surged forth, engulfing the battlefield, sweeping away the shadows like mist before the dawn. The Noxathar screamed, his figure disintegrating in the face of the overwhelming brilliance. No, they cannot end this way. He howled, but his voice was lost amid the rising tide of light. The warriors surged forward, united in their quest, breaking through the remnants of the Noxathar's darkness. They clashed with the last of the shadowy remnants, each blow resonating with the strength of their combined spirits. As the final shadows dissipated, silence fell over the battlefield, punctuated only by the heavy breaths of the warriors who had fought valiantly. Freyja stood among them, her heart racing, as she surveyed the remnants of the battle, the fallen, the brave, the honored. Tears of sorrow and pride welled in her eyes as she knelt beside Wulfgar's lifeless form. You fought fiercely, my friend, she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. I will carry your spirit in my heart until we meet again. Freyja, Bjorn approached, his massive hand resting on her shoulder, grounding her. We have lost much, but we have triumphed over darkness. You showed us true strength. Freyja nodded, her gaze sweeping across the battlefield. We fought for one another, and that bond is unbreakable. Our magic lies not in spells, but in the love we bear for each other. But even as she spoke, the air crackled with tension, the remnants of the Nox, a shadowy essence lingering, whispering of other threats yet to emerge. Freyja. A voice called from the edge of the battlefield. It was Loki, the trickster god, his expression unreadable as he approached. Have you vanquished the darkness? Freyja narrowed her eyes, unsure of his motives. The Noxathar is defeated, but the shadows speak of greater evils yet lurking in the abyss. What do you know? More than you realize, he replied cryptically, a smirk playing at the corners of his lips. The darkness is but a reflection of our fears, and while you may have triumphed today, the shadows will always find a way back. What do you mean? Freyja demanded, the weight of his words settling heavily in her chest. Loki shrugged, feigning innocence. Only that your victory today may hold the seeds of future battles. The gods have their plans, and darkness is but an ongoing tale in the tapestry of existence. As he turned to leave, Freyja felt a surge of anger and confusion. You speak in riddles, Loki. Is this your idea of a warning, or just another of your games? Perhaps both, he replied, glancing back over his shoulder. But remember, every light casts a shadow, and every victory carries a burden. With that, he slipped into the darkness, leaving Freyja with a sense of unease. The warriors began to gather, instinctively forming a circle around their goddess. They had survived the darkness, but uncertainty hung heavy in the air, a new fate looming on the horizon. Freyja turned to her warriors, her resolve hardening. Let us honor those we've lost and prepare for the challenges ahead. The dawn is ours, and we will safeguard it together. Their cheers rang out, echoing in the valley, a sound of unity that surged through the air like the first rays of a new day. But deep within Freyja's heart, a cold whisper of dread lingered. The battle was won, but the war against despair was far from over. Destiny awaited, and with it, trials that would test their very souls. As the sun began to rise, painting the sky with hues of gold and crimson, Freyja knew one thing for certain. This was merely the beginning of a saga that would echo through the ages, a myth carved into the annals of existence, where gods, heroes, and warriors would rise and fall, forever entwined in the eternal dance of light and shadow. The dawn's light filtered through the remnants of the battle, casting an ethereal glow over the fallen warriors and the scarred earth. Freyja stood, her heart heavy yet resolute, surrounded by those who had fought valiantly beside her. The air hummed with the remnants of magic, and the echoes of their battle reverberated through the valley. Freyja, Bjorn said, his voice low and somber, "We have lost many, but their spirits fight on. We cannot let their sacrifices be in vain." His massive hand clenched tightly around his axe, his knuckles white with the fierce memory of battle. Freyja nodded, swallowing the lump in her throat. "You speak the truth, Bjorn. We must remember them, not just in grief but in honor. Their strength fuels the fires of our resolve." She turned her gaze to the horizon, the sun climbing higher. "And we must prepare for what lies ahead." Just then, a rustling sound echoed behind them, drawing her attention. Loki, with his ever-mischievous grin, reappeared, a hint of mockery dancing in his eyes. "Oh, how touching, the goddess and her band of merry warriors, ready to take on the world. But tell me, Freyja, do you truly believe the Noxithar is gone forever?" Freyja glared at him, indignation flaring. "Your riddles and mockery are unwelcome, Loki. We have just endured a catastrophic battle, and your games are ill-timed." Loki chuckled, his voice smooth like silken threads. "Ah, but isn't that precisely why I am here, to remind you that even in victory, shadows linger. The Noxithar was merely a pawn. He serves a greater darkness that stirs in the depths, readying itself for another play." "What do you know of this darkness?" Freyja demanded, her patience waning. "Only that it comes from the very fabric of fate," Loki replied, his gaze drifting as if to conjure images from the void. "The gods have their plans, and fear not, Freyja. They are not all shrouded in shadow. Some spark like stars, but remember, every light draws a shadow." With that cryptic warning, he vanished, leaving Freyja to grapple with the weight of his words. "What can he mean?" she mused aloud, the others gathering closer, their expressions etched with uncertainty. "Whatever it is, we will face it together," Bjorn said firmly, placing a hand on her shoulder. "But first, we must honor the fallen." With solemn hearts, they gathered around Wolfgar, the fallen warrior, and others lost to the shadows. Freyja raised her spear, Gungnir, high into the sky. "For every soul that fought bravely, for every heart that fell to darkness, we honor you. You are not forgotten. Your spirit shall guide us, and we will rise in your name." The warriors knelt, pledging their loyalty not just to their goddess, but to each other, the bonds of their shared sacrifices forging an unbreakable chain of solidarity. The sun bathed them in golden light, a promise of hope. Yet, as they mourned, a chilling wind began to swirl around them, carrying whispers that felt like icy tendrils reaching into their very souls. Freyja's heart quickened. Something approaches. The ground trembled beneath their feet, and shadows began to coalesce, forming ominous shapes that twisted and writhed. From the darkness emerged a figure cloaked in a flowing shroud of shadow, the harbinger of dread, a monstrous entity that feasted on despair. Its eyes glowed like dying embers, and its voice resonated like thunder in the silence. "Freyja, your light is but a flicker in the grand darkness. You cannot hope to stand against what has arisen." Freyja's grip on Gungnir tightened, her heart racing against the unknown. "We stand united. You will not take our light." The harbinger laughed, a sound that sent chills racing down her spine. "Unity is but a fleeting illusion. I shall consume your hopes, one by one, until none remain." With a roar, the creature lunged forward, shattered tendrils whipping through the air like serpents poised to strike. Freyja raised her spear, summoning the remnants of her magic, flaring it like a beacon. "Warriors, stand by me. We fight for our honor, our love, and the light that dwells within our hearts." The warriors rallied, swords drawn, as they surged toward the harbinger. Bjorn led the charge, his massive frame like a mountain against the storm. "For glory," he bellowed, swinging his axe in a wide arc, cleaving through shadows that tried to ensnare him. Freyja fought beside him, Gungnir glowing with a radiant light, piercing the darkness with every thrust. She felt the hearts of her warriors around her, their courage bolstering her spirit even as the harbinger struck back, sending a wave of despair that threatened to engulf them all. The battlefield erupted into chaos, shadows clashing against the steel of righteous warriors, cries of defiance mingling with the harbinger's wicked laughter. "You think your courage will save you? I will shatter your spirits like glass." Freyja's heart raced as she dodged a lash of shadow, its coldness brushing against her flesh. "We will not yield. We are the dawn that will break your night." With a new vigor, she called upon the light within her, harnessing the collective spirit of her warriors. Together, she cried, her voice rising above the din. "Let our spirits forge a united front." The warriors, emboldened by her words, surged forward in a wave of light and determination, swords glinting in the morning sun. They struck in unison, carving through the harbinger's shadows, each blow resonating with the strength of their bond, a melody of hope against despair. But the harbinger was relentless, its tendrils striking like vipers, sending warriors sprawling to the ground. Freyja felt their strength wavering, their spirits flickering under the weight of the darkness. "Hold fast," she shouted, her voice breaking through the tumult. "Remember those who fought for you. Recall their light and their love." With each word, Freyja sensed a shift in the tide. A spark ignited deep within her, an ember kindled by the memories of all who had fallen. She thrust Gungnir into the earth, channeling the essence of every warrior, every soul who had dared to stand against the darkness. Light flared around her like a new sunrise, bold and unyielding. "By the power of love and sacrifice, I command you to retreat," she cried, and the ground trembled with her fervor. The harbinger faltered, shadows recoiling as Freyja unleashed an explosion of light that burst forth, illuminating the battlefield. "For every heart that beats bravely, for every life that dares to shine, I reclaim our destiny." The light surged forth, enveloping the warriors, restoring their spirits, their strength rekindled by her resolve. Together, they pressed against the dark tides, pushing the harbinger back with renewed vigor. The creature's laughter turned to fury, its eyes blazing with malevolence. "No, you cannot do this. I will not be undone." Freyja stepped forward, Gungnir raised high, a symbol of their united spirit. "You are not the end. You are but a chapter in this tale of light and darkness. This is our world, and we will not let you consume it." With a mighty thrust, Freyja directed the light toward the harbinger, the force of her will merging with the spirits of her warriors. In a blinding flash, the darkness shattered, tendrils of shadow disintegrating in the face of the radiant light. The harbinger let out a final, piercing shriek as it was engulfed, its form dissolving into nothingness, leaving behind only a whisper of despair. "You may have won today, but the darkness will return." Panting and weary, Freyja surveyed the battlefield, her heart pounding with the thrill of victory, yet weighed down by the cost. The warriors stood together, breasts mingling in the dawn's light, a testament to their unbroken spirit. "We have triumphed," Bjorn said, his voice a low rumble of pride. "Together?" "Yes," Freyja replied, tears of both joy and sorrow glistening in her eyes. "But we must remain vigilant. The darkness may recede, but it is ever present, lurking in the shadows, waiting for another chance." As they gathered, the sun broke through the clouds, bathing them in warm, golden light. The shadows that had once threatened to consume them melted away, leaving behind the promise of a new dawn, a dawn forged in unity, love, and sacrifice. "Let us honor those we lost and continue to fight for our world," Freyja declared, her voice rising in strength. "For as long as we stand united, we are unstoppable." With renewed determination, they marched forth, united in purpose, ready to face whatever new challenges fate had in store. The echo of their laughter mingled with the warmth of the sun, a melody of hope that reverberated through the realms. As the sun rose higher, casting golden rays across the scarred battlefield, the air was thick with remnants of magic and the pungent scent of earth mingled with blood. Freyja stood at the forefront, her heart a fierce drum echoing with the memories of battle. The warriors around her, weary but resolute, bore the marks of their fight against despair. Nox, their shadow, was now a fading whisper, a ghost of the darkness that had once loomed so menacingly over them. Yet, as they gazed at the horizon, uncertainty hung heavy in their hearts like a storm cloud on the brink of breaking. "Freyja," Bjorn said, his voice a rumble of thunder, breaking the summer silence. "The harbinger may be vanquished, but shadows linger at the edges of our victory. What now?" Freyja turned to him, her expression fierce yet reflective. "We honor our fallen, Bjorn. Their sacrifices paved the way for this moment. We shall not let their light fade into obscurity. They deserve our remembrance." The warriors nodded in unison, and Bjorn lowered his great axe, stepping forward to kneel before the remains of their comrades. "For Wolfgar, for every soul that fought bravely," he cried, his voice rising like a war cry. "For the fallen," the warriors echoed, a chorus of determination that resonated through the valley. They formed a circle, each warrior placing their weapons on the ground, a tribute to the brave souls who had charged into the fray. Freyja felt the weight of their grief and pride swelling in the air, a palpable force that surged around them. "In their honor, we invoke a ritual of the fallen," Freyja declared, her voice steady amidst the rising tide of emotion. "We will call upon their spirits to guide us." She raised Gungnir high above her head, the spear shimmering as if to absorb the very essence of the sun. "Hear us, brave ones, we honor your fight, your courage, and your undying spirit." As she spoke, the winds began to swirl, weaving through the circle of warriors. The air shimmered, and the ghostly silhouettes of their fallen comrades flickered to life around them, ethereal forms radiant with the light of honor. Wolfgar stood among them, a proud smile on his face, his spirit glowing with the warmth of camaraderie. "Do not grieve for us," he spoke, his voice like a distant echo. "We have lived and fought with honor. Remember us in your battles and carry our strength within you." The warriors held their breath, awash in the power of the moment, tears glistening in their eyes. "We will carry you with us," Freyja vowed, her heart swelling with fierce love for them all. "In every fight, every struggle, you will be our light, guiding us through the darkness." As she lowered Gungnir, the ethereal figures began to dissolve, but their spirits lingered, a soft glow against the backdrop of the rising sun. A sense of peace washed over the warriors as they felt the warmth of their departed friend's essence wrapping around them like a protective cloak. Yet in that moment of reverence, the shadows crept back, curling at the edges of the battlefield, whispering dark promises of revenge. Freyja's heart raced as she sensed the deepening chill of familiar dread creeping back into her spirit. "Freyja," Bjorn cautioned, his brow furrowed as he scanned the surroundings. "The shadows are restless. What if Loki spoke true? What if this darkness is merely waiting for us to lower our guard?" The air around them thickened, an oppressive weight that clung to their skin. Freyja felt the pulse of her magic, still fragile but alive, thrumming beneath her armor. "We will not falter. We have defeated the Harbinger, and we will face whatever arises together. We are stronger as one." Just as she finished speaking, an agonizing roar ripped through the air, sending ripples of terror through the warriors. From the shadows emerged a new foe, an enormous beast whose skin was a swirling mass of darkness, eyes glinting like shards of obsidian. It was a Gloomwraith, an ancient creature of nightmare, born from the darkness left behind after the fall of the Noxar. "Your light is easily snuffed out," it thundered, its voice a cacophony that rattled the very ground beneath them. "I shall feast it upon your hopes and leave you trembling in despair. Stand your ground," Freyja commanded, raising Ganya once more, the spear igniting with the glow of determination. "We will not yield to fear." The Gloomwraith lunged, its shadowy tendril snaking through the air as it barreled toward them, aiming to engulf them in its malevolent darkness. "All will fall before me," it roared, the sound reverberating like the toll of doom. Bjorn bellowed, charging forth, his axe raised high. "No, we are not mere mortals for you to consume, we are warriors of light." He swung his axe with fierce precision, cleaving through one of the tendrils. The dark matter recoiled, hissing with rage. "Fight for your lives," Freyja shouted, her voice echoing with power, igniting the hearts of her warriors. "Together, we shall banish this creature back to the abyss." The warriors rallied, shouting their battle cries, surging forward as a united front. They struck as one, swords and axes clashing against the Gloomwraith's tendrils, each blow infused with the light of their shared spirit. Freyja felt their resolve lifting her, fueling her with a renewed vigor. "Your darkness cannot overshadow our light," she cried, thrusting Gungnir forward, channeling the remnants of her magic into the spear. A wave of pure energy erupted from her, crashing against the beast. The Gloomwraith roared in fury, its form shimmering as it struggled against the onslaught. "Foolish goddess, you think your light can pierce my gloom," it howled, lashing out with its shadowy tendrils, striking warriors left and right, sending some sprawling to the ground. But Freyja pressed on, her heart pounding with determination. "Stand together," she yelled, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Remember what we fight for, remember the strength of our bonds." With every pulse of Gungnir, Freyja felt the connection deepening between her and her warriors. They fought not just for their lives, but for each other, for the honor of those they had lost. In that moment, the air shimmered with their combined spirit, a tangible force that surged through the battlefield. The warriors surged forward, their strikes echoing like thunder as they pushed against the darkness. Bjorn, fueled by the spirit of his fallen brother, charged with unmatched ferocity. For Wolfgar, for honor. He swung his axe, cleaving through the tendrils as if they were mere wisps of smoke. Freyja's heart soared as she watched her warriors rally, a storm of light and courage against the encroaching darkness. Her magic ignited anew, a brilliant blaze that illuminated their path forward. "We are the light that conquers the dark. Do not falter, do not waver." With renewed strength, they pressed against the Gloomwraith. Freyja thrust Gungnir higher, channeling all of their resolve into a single thrust. "For love, for unity, we shall banish you." The spear struck the heart of the beast, a blinding light erupting from the point of contact. The Gloomwraith screamed, its form fracturing under the weight of their combined spirit. Shadows exploded outward, scattering into the ether as it writhed in agony, darkness dissolving into shimmering motes of light. "No, this cannot be," it howled, its voice a wailing tempest as it was consumed by the radiance. Freyja and her warriors pressed forward, chanting their battle hymn, a symphony of hope ringing through the air. For the fallen, for the light. As the last remnants of the Gloomwraith faded into nothingness, the battlefield fell silent, the air still heavy with the echoes of their victory. Freyja stood amidst her warriors, her heart swelling with pride and sorrow. They had faced darkness yet again, and together, they had triumphed. We fought for each other, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. We proved that even in the darkest of times, love and unity can conquer all. Bjorn stepped forward, his massive form casting a shadow over her, but his expression was warm. Together, we are unstoppable, Freyja. They may come for us again, but we will be ready. We are forged in light, and we will not be extinguished. Freyja nodded, her heart swelling with fierce love for her comrades. We shall rebuild, honor our fallen, and prepare for whatever darkness looms on the horizon. Each battle makes us stronger, and we shall face all that comes with courage and unity. As the sun set upon the battlefield, painting the sky with hues of gold and crimson, the warriors gathered around Freyja once more, their bonds unbreakable. They had faced the abyss and emerged victorious, a testament to the enduring light that dwelled in their hearts.